Imagine waking up in the morning, a restless night, having to do homework late, waking up to realize you have a test in the morning, then later on practice, and then later on having to do homework and repeating the cycle all over again. Well, this isn't imaginary. For some athletes like me, it's reality. Parents, coaches, and classmates may know someone who suffers silently from anxiety, stress, and burnout due to this cycle. It affects everyone, and ignoring it affects all of us. As a varsity athlete, class president, and in student leaders, I firsthand experienced the sleepless nights, stress, and pressure.
Yeah.
The decrease in mental health in student athletes is often caused by the increase of academic stress, athletic stress, social pressures, and to add to that, there's limited mental health education, so there's not a lot of ways to receive help for this. A way we could fix this can be by enforcing mental health educations and adding support groups to high schools. We could first look at how serious this problem has become. The mental health problem amongst student athletes has been increasing exponentially. According to the CDC, 40% of high school students report a constant feeling of sadness and hopelessness. American Psychology Association says as well, anxiety has been skyrocketing the past decade. As student athletes also have to deal with the pressure of being academically and athletically perfect in our society, which adds a lot of weight mentally and shows up physically. This problem has become widespread, and it's not just schools in Texas. The National Federation of State High School Association reports that millions of students partake in sports each year, which means a small percentage is still considered hundreds of thousands of students. Hundreds of thousands of students. Everyone is different and is able to cope with mental health differently. While some fall into depression, some have more anxiety, some people just end up wanting to quit their sport, or some students end up their grades end up depleting, as well as some become substance abusers, sadly, and some suicidal thoughts. So to understand further, we have to ask the important question: why is this happening? The increased expectations in today's society has been a great addition, I would say, to this reality, basically. How a lot of kids are expected to work, volunteer, have good grades. The expectation of college as well has been shoved in their brains since they were basically little, and it creates a constant pressure on growing young adults, I would say. The lack of mental health education also is a big factor that needs to be changed, because a lot of kids are able to identify like physical traits of being injured. For example, like their knee hurts, but they're not able to see the mental and deep down how they're feeling. They're mentally hurting. They're not able to see and distinguish that. So they end up waiting till the problem exceeds and gets worse and becomes severe before actually asking for help. A lot of schools do offer counselors, but today, since a lot of schools have thousands of kids, they often have hundreds of kids to watch over. So they often end up waiting for them to come to them, which a lot of kids these days feel embarrassed, I would say, and they're not as confident as to go up and admit they need help. So many of them end up suffering in silence. Fortunately, there's a practical solution to this. High schools can require mental health education and supporting programs for student athletes. This will work by adding at least one regular class, like a little workshop for the students, teaching coaches how to recognize signs soon, and teach stretch management and resilience to the students. Schools already teach CPR, how to stop bleeds, how to identify concussions, so I feel like this will fit in seamlessly, and in hopes of seeking help, having students seek help for themselves sooner, perform better mentally and as well as academically, and I would say athletically, and also be healthier. And since we're social beings, it creates a well community around others, because if one of us is happy, it starts a chain reaction of everybody's happy. In the end, the mental health struggle of student athletes has continued to increase over the years. The biggest cause of this is the skyrocketing expectations, the pressure, the lack of education, and the limited support that's given. A good solution to this requires mental health education, the support programs, help study and to help students receive the proper help they need, and be able to identify when they need help. And athletes often train their bodies, so now it's time to train our minds. Remember, being strong isn't pretending nothing is wrong, but instead making sure every student gets the help they need.